grab your glue gun and ribbon. It's time to create at the Home Decor Crafters Summit. Enjoy 35 inspiring workshops led by talented speakers. We have amazing giveaways that are happening now. Register today for your chance to win and get your free ticket today. And if you want to keep the workshops, upgrade to the VIP ticket for lifetime and instant access with exclusive bonuses. So grab your glue gun and let's stick together for some crafty fun at the Home Decor Crafters Summit.
Hello.
Hello,
everyone. All right, we are on day 4. I'm so sad. It's the last day of the Home Decor Crafter Summit. But I am excited about this session. So this has always been something that I've wanted to dive into, but I feel like maybe I have enough crafts going on. So now I have to. So here we go. But I would like to welcome Danielle from Imperfect Dust and Jennifer from Canvas Sign Designs. And we're going to dive in deep about hand lettering, tips, tricks, tools. They both have a very unique and beautiful style. You can see behind both of them. But I will let you guys just jump in here and introduce yourselves. Danielle, do you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Danielle, and you may have seen my session yesterday where I taught you how to create this hand-lettered sign and use a hand-letter template for it. And I started this just as a sign maker at the house, and then it has grown to online and teaching. And I'm so excited to be a part of this summit, and thank you, Shelly, for asking me to be a part of it. I can't wait to see what you create with these designs.
I know, I'm excited. And your session was day 2, so it was Tuesday.
Oh, so sorry. Yeah,
it's Thursday. I know. I'm very just kind of bragging to myself that I actually know what day it is right now because the weeks kind of run together. Okay, Jennifer, and her session was on day 1, but if you want to introduce yourself and talk about your business and how you got into hand lettering.
Hey, everybody. I am Jennifer with Canvas Sign Designs, and my session was on Monday, and I created this cute Home Sweet Home sign here. I am a door hanger maker, and I started out making door hangers back in 2014, and I did in-home paint parties, and people would ask me to hand letter, last names and all kinds of things on their signs. So my hand lettering started there, and it just has evolved throughout the years. And now I have a painting membership and a hand lettering membership where I teach other people how to paint. And then in my lettering group, I teach people how to hand letter on their door hangers and home decor signs.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to dive into some tips. Does anybody want to just jump in and volunteer? Do you have something that you want to share? And I guess I should also say, if you're watching this and you have questions, or you have just specific questions or generic questions, anything about hand lettering, drop them into the comments, because at the end we'll do some question and answer, and these ladies know their stuff. So you try to stump them, but I don't think you'll be able to.
I don't mind going first.
Okay, perfect.
So one of the things that I'll just want to give you like a little bonus, and that is, whenever you saw this session, it was more about how to use a template to, take my lettering and create on here. But I also want to show you how you could just do this as an absolute beginner. And I will have you, Shelly, change it to my hands and just show. I'm going to give them just a little quick tutorial on how they can take a word and quickly make it come to life. Can you help me do that?
Right. We'll give her just a minute to get set up. And if you didn't catch her session, you can still grab it if you have the VIP with the Home Decor Crafter Summit. So we will drop that link in the comments too. But like we said, you can find it on day 2, and then all of her tips and tricks for making that cutting board, that really cute home decor. It makes really good gifts, like new home gifts or wedding gifts, that kind of thing too.
Okay, I'm ready.
Perfect.
All right, so this is just a stained piece of wood. I like to call these little shelf sitters because they can stand alone. And sorry about this lighting. It's a little bright. Let me pull back a little bit. There we go. That's
good.
Yeah. And this is a General's Charcoal White. And it's a pencil that you can trace out your letters on. And then sometimes when I've done in-person classes, I've allowed the ladies to have a wet wipe. And if if they don't like their layout at first, they can wipe it away, let it dry, and try again. So this is a way that you can not be intimidated and come in and start trying to make a hand lettered sign. But the one method that I love to teach is called faux calligraphy. Now, this is different from your brush pens that are really about the amount of pressure you apply. This is more about laying out what I like to say is just the bones of the letter. So we're going to be really big and spread out. And then we're going to take everywhere. Oh, were you saying something, Shelly? I'm sorry.
Nope.
Oh, okay. So that is where we're going to draw the bones. So we just drew those out. And you can even do this with a regular pencil on paper if you want. But then we're going to go everywhere we went down. So think, okay, I went down here. And we're going to come back into that upstroke, because calligraphy is all about thick downstrokes, thin upstrokes. Thick down, thin up. And so you just ask yourself, where did I go down? So we stay on that upstroke here, but then we come down in a new place for this downstroke. And you're just laying out some guidelines. And so then this is an upstroke. We're going to leave that alone. This one is a downstroke. And you can come on both sides, just whatever you have to do to make that line really balanced. This is an upstroke. We leave it alone. Down, down. And here I might come in on both sides. Just like I said, your goal is a balanced letter. And now I have guidelines to come in with my paint pen. And then I have confidence to, just do it almost like a paint by number. So I hope that that's a quick tip to help you see. You just pick those downstrokes and add the thickness. So let's see.
Here, I'm over here rambling away, and I don't. I didn't have my mic on.
Okay, so yeah, you just go and then now I can come in with my paint pen and bring it all to life. But having this little pencil is a game changer for me when it comes to sign making, especially on dark backgrounds like stained wood.
That is awesome. Okay, what was the name of the pencil again? Because I know someone's going to ask.
Sure, it's General's Charcoal White.
Okay. And then if you're using like a light colored surface, is there another? That's where you'd use the graphite.
Well, I just use a regular pencil. Now that was showing free-handed. Now I know Jennifer is probably going to show you about the graphite paper, which I also use and I used in the session with this sign. And so I will let her show that to you. But if you want to get the white guidelines with a template, I use this. It's called carbon paper and it's white. It's like graphite, but it's not graphite. It's white and they call it carbon paper. And so you can use it for your dark surfaces.
Too. Okay, for the traceables. Perfect.
Yes.
All right. Jennifer, do you want to jump in and show us something with the traceables?
Of course, I thought of like 20 different things to show while.
How long do we have, right?
Right. Okay. Oh, I got to change my camera over.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's good. And we will be dropping some of the links, some of the things that they're talking about. So I do see we have a question coming up about pens also. So if you ladies want to start to get that ready. Looks like Jennifer might be ready.
I am. So just feeding off of something that Danielle had talked about. Sorry, my camera is set up for a different kind of viewing. I didn't realize it was crooked. Okay, so just real quick, just feeding off of what Danielle did too. If you are too nervous to just directly letter on top of your sign, one of my favorite tips is to, I guess maybe I can just show this instead. One of my favorite tips is to get some tracing paper, and let's pretend like I painted this sign all nice and neat because I didn't. You can set some tracing paper directly on top of the sign that you are going to be working with, and you can just sketch out your design on the, sorry guys, on the tracing paper. That way, if you don't like it or if you have to erase it, you're not feeling like you need to do that on your finished product. So I'll use black instead of white, just to show you guys some variation here. I like to use a watercolor pencil. Any watercolor pencil is fine. I just use this brand here, Faber-Castell, because it's the same brand as my favorite black lettering marker. And a watercolor pencil is a little softer, so it will erase a little bit better. And if you're doing it on the tracing paper, you know, you can just kind of sketch out your design and play with it and be able to see what your sign looks like underneath, so you can see how it will look. So I will just do the same word in my style here. And sometimes I just leave it this plain monoline here. And then sometimes I do just what Danielle just showed you and just thicken up these downstrokes here. But doing it on the tracing paper just allows you to erase and kind of make a mess if you need to. And then you would just take your graphite paper. And I just got this to show you. This is my favorite brand from Hobby Lobby of graphite paper. They have gray and they have white. And then you just take your graphite paper and put it, mine's very well loved, and put it under your sketched out design. And then you could just go over it again with your pencil. And we'll pretend like my little round sign is all nice and painted. Here. And then, well, of course, I need to use a harder pencil. Sorry, I don't usually use this one to trace my design on. Behind the scenes stuff y'all are catching here. So this pencil's a little harder, so it will work a little bit better. Those watercolor pencils, the leads are very soft in them. There's just obviously a different type of lead. So I was just using it because it was there and handy, but you can see the image just traced right over, and then you can get your marker and right on top of that.
That's awesome.
And then you almost have your own little template saved in case you want to reuse it or do it again.
Oh yeah, that would be great, especially if you're doing stuff for sale where you're doing multiples.
Yes.
Then you kind of have a template.
And I usually go over it with like marker just so it's just set in stone, and then I have like a folder that I keep them all in, and I can just pull them out whenever I need to use them.
And then can you show that graphite paper brand again?
Sure, absolutely. So I use, here's the white that I use, and then here is the gray, and I get Hobby Lobby. Sorry, there's a delay on my camera, so it's moving slower. And these are just in the aisle with all the like calligraphy pens over kind of like by the framed section where they do all the custom framing.
Awesome.
And they're very inexpensive.
They
last forever. This one is, I've had this one for years. Like it, you'll hang on to it for a really long time.
That's so funny. I went to graphic design school in the 90s, and we used a lot of graphite paper back then. So I think it's funny to hear it now. I don't think I've heard it in the last 30 years.
I started my business in 2014, and I didn't even know about this until 2020. And I think of all the years that I drew out on the door hangers, and then I'd erase and then rewrite it. And I'm like, man, that would have just saved me so much time had I known about templates and graphite paper.
Right.
But it made me better at hand lettering because I had to just actually do it there on the spot.
Yeah, that's funny. All right. Do you guys have a second one? And then we'll see what kind of questions we end up with, and then we can go through them at the end. Danielle, do you need to flip your camera, or are you good?
But before I flip it, I was going to tell them something about, okay, so I mentioned the General's charcoal pencil and the white paper. So the way that she had the gray graphite paper, this is a white, one that will give you those white lines. And I have a free chalkboard challenge, which teaches you, it gives you the tracer that you're going to need similar to this, but it's this design. And I think the link is going to be dropped for it, and it will show you and walk you through exactly how to create this. You just put your email in and it will send to you. And we use a General's charcoal pencil here to create all this drop shadowing. So I'll walk you through that too. So if that is something that you would like to see demonstrated fully, it can be sent to you in a video format. But now I can show tools if you want. I saw that question about tools.
Sure.
Okay. And I'll flip my camera around.
Okay. All right. I'm excited. And then when we come back, I also want you to mention or show off your hymn boards too.
Oh, okay.
All
Okay.
right.
I'm ready. All right. So when it comes to lettering, the reason that I teach faux calligraphy is because I started out on signs like this. And when you work with signs, you have to work with paint pens. And paint pens, my favorite are these Posca brand. Paint pens have what's called as a mono tip, where there's no brush tip. The difference is in this. So with this brush tip, it's flexible and it is very sensitive to the amount of pressure you apply. For instance, let's do hello. So I'm going to press harder on the way down, easier on the way up, harder on the way down, easier on the way up. And I get those thick lines by pressing harder. I'm not great at this. Look, it's not that different because that's not something that I specialize in. What I specialize in is teaching the absolute beginner how to do this faux calligraphy style so that, I guess I should have finished the word. Looks kind of funny if I don't. Let me do that real quick. But
so therapeutic to watch you guys letter too. Maybe I'll just
look, I'll be honest, I'm just not that great at the brush pen. It is not my favorite, and that's why I don't do it very much.
It's so cute. Yeah.
That's a brush pen, and I got this huge pack. I'm actually going to go live today and show all these off on my main page, but that is the difference. Like a brush tip is very dependent on the pressure you apply. So that's that. But then this is just your regular permanent marker. This is an Amazon Basic, which is so budget friendly. You can get a huge box of these, and I mean, they're like $10 for, I don't even know how many. It's a lot though. So with this method, oh no, of course I picked a dry one. Let me see if I got a bunch. So let's see if I can find one that's not dried out. Here we go. Okay, so see, I'm applying the same amount of pressure, but it's not changing the line weight. So now I'm going to come in on those downstrokes and bring it to life. We're going to add a body to our bones. And so the difference is a flexible tip versus that steady, same amount of weight, no matter how much pressure you apply. And I find this easier to teach beginners because this takes a lot of control, and this is so easy to pick up any tool. For instance, you could take a pencil even. I don't know if I even have a pencil in here, but you can create that same look no matter what you have. And these, because the question was asked about tools, these are my absolute favorite. They're called Tombow hard tip pens, or if you want to get real fancy, it's that Fudensuki, I think is how you pronounce it. And it is very small. Say it, Jennifer.
Fudenowski.
Okay, see, I learned something new today. So it is very small, and I love it for like Bible journaling. It's got a little bit of a flexible tip, but it's not so much that you can't still use that faux calligraphy method. But it doesn't bleed on, like if you do Bible journaling and you have those thin pages, it's very friendly to that. It doesn't bleed. And you just come in and do the same method that you did up here. But it's got just a little bit of a bend on it. So it's more beginner friendly than that first one, but it still has a little flexibility. So those are the differences, and these are the main three tools that I use. Like I said, not the brush very much, but then regular permanent marker. You can even use a Crayola marker, and then this Tombow pen. These are my three favorites. So I know Jennifer's probably got another one that she wants to share.
Yeah. Look. Okay. Perfect.
Sorry, there was a delay. I don't know. Okay, so just like Danielle, the last marker that she just used is one of my absolute favorite for hand lettering on paper. I do have these starter packs in my online shop, which there should be a link for that. And that pen that she just used right here is included in that. And then my favorite pencil, just to kind of sketch things out, is this drafting pencil, which is also included in here. I probably sharpen this about every 6 months because the lead is really, really hard. You don't have to like constantly sharpen it. It's the best pen, and the lead is very light colored. So it's easy to erase and just really easy to use. And then of course there's an eraser in there because, we all make mistakes. But my favorite pen and this is also in my shop, I sell this individually. If or you can get the starter pack if anybody's interested, is this Faber-Castell. It's a Pit Artist pen. It's made with India ink, which is highly pigmented. I've been using this on my door hangers to letter in black for, I don't know, like probably 8 years. I love it so much. It does have a big brush tip here because when you are lettering on a sign, they're usually bigger, so that bigger brush tip is great to use. And I'm just using a piece of poster board, which by the way is a great fun thing to practice with. But I do the faux calligraphy whenever I'm lettering on my signs, because even though this has a big brush to it, on a door hanger, it's usually not big enough. So I usually go in here and kind of thicken up. But these pens are really nice and juicy. You can see the ink is really very well pigmented. And I like the tip because it's not hard like a paint pen tip. It's a little softer. So it's a little bit more forgiving. And I always I like analogies. And so my biggest analogy with this is when you are lettering with a paint pen or something like that, the tip is very hard. So any little bump that you go over, you're gonna see it. This tip is a lot softer and more spongy, so it absorbs kind of the shock of a bump a little bit better. So think about tires on a road. If your tires are bald and you need new tires, you feel every little tiny bump, right? Because those tires don't have as much cushion on them. But think about a tire with a lot of cushion on it. You can go over bumps and you don't feel that as much. And so kind of a weird analogy, I know, but that's just what that's what I think about. So this is what I use on all of my door hangers to letter in black. This has a dual tip. So you also get this skinny little side here if you want to use it for smaller lettering. A lot of times I use it to kind of like reshape my little curves, kind of straighten out any shaky lines because we all have them. But I like it because it has the two tips, and it's just very pigmented. The only thing I always give this little disclaimer with it is that if you use it on a sign and you're going to seal your sign, use a spray sealer. Do not use a brush sealer because it will smear the marker after you've gone over it a couple of times. But this is my absolute favorite lettering pen for signs. I love it, and it is amazing.
Here I'm over here rambling on mute. Typical Zoom.
Well, I couldn't hear anything. I was like, what's happening? Is this me?
Yeah, you're like, hello. Okay, we do have a couple questions. Should we jump into them?
Sure.
Is there a reason for using a white or graphite paper?
So I use both. It depends on the background. So graphite is going to give you lines that look like pencil marks, and the white paper is going to give you lines that look like white pencil marks. So it really is just determined on how dark your background is.
Okay, so carbon is gray. No, carbon is white and graphite is gray.
Carbon actually comes in both. It's weird.
Okay.
And graphite comes in both too.
Oh, they do.
Okay. I've never tried white graphite paper.
Yeah, that's what I use is the white graphite. It's probably the same thing. Maybe different brands call it something different, maybe, but yeah.
But let me also tell y'all, and I know that she said Hobby Lobby was her favorite brand. I get a pack of these from Amazon, the white. And again, so budget friendly, like 100 sheets for $5, and you're never going to use them all. So I just, keep it over here.
Get the white from Amazon. Do not get the pack of 20 in the gray or black from Amazon, because they're like seriously very carbony. And so like even just rubbing your hand on it, they smudge everywhere. Just the gray. The white is good on Amazon, but I like to just say go with the kind of like Hobby Lobby or Michael's, because they are not as carbony.
Okay, perfect. I think it's just
I didn't explain the O and the E.
No, expand.
Oh, well, just because I was mainly just trying to show you me using the pen more so than what the word looked like expanded. So I was more concentrating on why I love this pen so much versus make my letters thicker. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it was, we were talking about the thickness of letters more, so I can see. But
yeah.
The style of what you prefer, like, I think also. I do well with small, actually tiny lettering, but I have a hard time transitioning to large. Do you have any suggestions for helping her with that?
I think just practice.
I was just about to say, my suggestion is going to be boring. Practice.
Yeah, it's hard. Like I've hand lettered on door hangers for so many years that I'm really good at the big stuff. And then when I have to do like the smaller stuff, it's
like a card.
I mean, it's not difficult for me, but it's a little bit harder. So I think it's just whatever. My biggest advice to anybody is like, whatever pen you use, whatever marker you use, try to be consistent with that same brand and that same pen so that you can learn the behaviors of that marker. Because we all have our favorites, but at the end of the day, if you just practice with one consistently and one style of lettering and big or small consistently, you're going to get better, no matter what.
All right. That's good. Been trying for a long time to do lettering, but my problem is left-handed and I'm not sure how to sit, angle, pressure. Any tips? So I did drop a link to Crystal Witten, who is one of the speakers and also a friend of the three of ours. And she is a left-handed letterer, so she probably has some tips. And if you're a attendee of the Home Decor Crafters Summit, she does have a little freebie for you guys. But do you guys have any tips also for left-handers? I know you guys are both right-handed, so.
One of the things I've seen Crystal do that I think is brilliant is taking another sheet of paper, because I know that with left-handed, you have to worry about your hand dragging across the letters as you write. And she takes an extra sheet of paper and puts it under, if she's using like paint pens or no, not paint pens. I'm not sure, but I've seen her do it and it's really cool. Like she'll just put that pen under there. I mean, that paper under there so that her hand doesn't hit it. But how does the paper not hit it? I don't know. Go follow Crystal.
I suppose your hand is moving, but the paper's staying there. So then you're not smudging it. So that's pretty genius. That would be my guess. Yeah. How about you, Jennifer? Do you have any tips?
Yeah, I do. If you're hand lettering just for practice on paper, HP Premium 32 paper, you can get them in reams. I just order mine on Amazon. It's a heavier pound paper. If you're using like a brush pen or something like that on that paper, the ink will dry really fast on that paper. So it kind of depends on what surface you're using. Some surfaces, the ink takes a while to dry, so it would be harder. But on those, it dries a little faster. So it gives you just a little bit, you don't have to wait as long and kind of worry about smudging. Another thing that I think really helps is doing the faux calligraphy versus the brush lettering if you're left-handed. Because if you do the faux calligraphy, like what Danielle showed, you can pencil it out first and then take your marker and go over it. So, penciling out the word first, then you can kind of go over it letter by letter, or you could even start from the end and go this way and just do your marker over it. But you already know you have the layout and the design exactly how you you want it because it's penciled on. Sorry. Because it's penciled on first. I pencil everything on my products first, and then I go over it with a marker, and I just always highly recommend that. So those are kind of some tips of mine.
I think that's very, very good to do the faux lettering. Is that what you guys call it? Where you kind of
F-A-U-X, faux calligraphy, like a faux fur jacket. Faux
leather, right? We have a lot of crafters.
Yes, there you go.
Faux leather.
Fake calligraphy, basically.
Yeah. Okay, we do have a couple questions that came in about your pencil pack again. Do you want to? Sorry, fine lettering pen, and then somebody else asked you to go through what was in there.
Sure, I'd love to.
Or where it was available.
It is available in my shop. I put the link earlier, gave it to Aaron and put my shop.
Okay.
It's just called a starter pack. And what is in this? I kind of tried to like put together, because I do sign lettering, but I also have some workbooks that people like to purchase to, you know, learn how to hand letter. So I wanted to kind of put together something that would cover all the bases for all the things and not have to do a starter kit for sign lettering and then a starter kit for paper. So this is what I kind of came up with, and these are what I use all the time. So first was that drafting pencil here that you see. Mine is very well loved. I've been using this same pencil for like 4 or 5 years. You rarely have to sharpen them. The tip is really hard, but the lead is it's light. So it's not as heavy and dark as a regular pencil. So it doesn't wear down the tip as quickly. My camera's so bright, it's hard to see, but, and then it makes it really easy to erase also. So I use that always to kind of pencil on any designs that I do. This is a little plastic eraser, and what the difference is between this and like a pink eraser is it's a little softer, so it won't kind of like tear up your paper. It's a little easier on your surface, so that will use to erase any uh-ohs, because we all make them. And then I have this pen right here, which is the one that Danielle showed you guys for lettering on paper. I'm just going to use the same love. It's an easy word to letter. So this is great for paper. You could use this on probably, I don't know if I would, I'm sorry, my little Siri keeps coming on. I don't know that I would use it on a sign, but it's great for practicing using on paper, that kind of thing. I think
you have a lot of card makers, so that would be a good one for them.
Yes, because it's like an archival ink, so it's permanent. I love it because probably for all the same reasons Danielle said, the tip is small and it's very flexible. So a lot of times with brush tip pens, which will bring me to the next one. This is a smaller version of this big one here. And I just did a color just because, just make it fun. But you see, this is a brush tip on this pen. And a lot of times on the brush tip, with the brush tips, I don't want to use this too much because it's, after a while, it starts getting very flimsy. So if any of you have been trying to practice brush lettering and you notice after a while, your pen's you're losing control with your pen because that tip gets really flimsy and bendy. This one does not do that. It just kind of pops right back in place. So it just lasts a really long time, and it's just a really great pen to use. I included a smaller version, like I said, of this just for paper. And I did it in a color just to, again, make it a little more fun so everything isn't black. And then this is my favorite pen that I use. You can use this on paper too, but I use it on my signs, and I like it because it's got this nice big brush tip here. And it is made again with India ink, which is highly pigmented ink. And then it's got the dual tip. So it's got a fat end and a skinny end for those of you that like to do smaller lettering. Kind of covers both things in it. So this is all that is included in my starter kit right there. And then I also just sell these individually if somebody just wants to buy one individually, not the whole kit. So both of those are in my online shop.
All right, thank you. And we dropped the link so you can grab that in the chat down below or above, depending if you're watching on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. And then I do believe we have a couple more. Okay, Danielle, where did your business name come from? Oops, you're muted.
I did not see that. So this snuck up on me, but I'm going to try to make a super long story short, but it comes from Psalm 103:14 that says, so my business is extremely, look up here, only one life will soon be passed. Only what's done for Christ will last. And Jesus has saved my soul and changed my entire life. And so a lot of the lettering templates that you see, the sign that I make, and even look, hymns, old hymns are like where my heart's at too. And so it is a faith-based lettering business. And it came from this scripture in Psalm because I have somewhat of a prodigal daughter story. If you don't know what that is, I was raised to know the Lord. And then I decided that I would go my own way. And he brought me back. And this scripture speaks to how the Lord loves us in spite of our imperfections. And I had just started lettering, just started creating, and I came across this scripture as I was literally praying for a business name because I had realized this was going to become a business. And it says, for the Lord, okay, when I'm put on the spot, I can't exactly, let me think on this.
No pressure.
As a father shows compassion to his children, so the Lord shows compassion to those who fear him. For he knows our frame and he remembers that we are dust. And at the time, I was working with chalk, and I would take the chalk dust and I would create this drop shadow background. I wasn't using charcoal pencils yet because I didn't know they existed, but I was grinding up chalk, and I was taking my finger and just kind of shading with chalk. And then I would also take old picture frames and I would thrift them, distress them, and then make them the frames. So I was working with picture frames and chalk dust. And when it said he knows our frame, he remembers we are dust, it was like the words leapt off the page. And I thought, I'm imperfect dust. So some people have given me some grief about that. They're like, are you calling yourself imperfect dust? And I'm like, well, yes, I am. I am very imperfect. I embrace that, but God loves me anyway, in spite of all my imperfections. And so the name is to point back to him and how he has shown compassion to me whenever I did not deserve it. So that was in a nutshell.
It's I don't know if I've heard that full story, and I've known you for years now. So that was very cute. I love it. Yes. Okay. So what are your opinions on these type of pens? I won't try to pronounce that.
This is the Posca. They are my favorite.
Okay. We love them.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep,
And that's
great. I use them for all colors, and then the white.
This is what I used to use all the time because they were more convenient for me to purchase because they were at Walmart and that's all I had next to me. And then I took the leap one day to buy some on Amazon, and I will never go back. I mean, I have to use these in a pinch sometimes, but I try to keep Poscas on hand.
And what does the tip? That's the one that's just the plain tip on them. So then you go back and okay. All right. I think we have another question. How do I start to learn a lettering style, a style of lettering? I know your creating is not your normal handwriting. So I kind of felt that. So I was kind of playing while you were, there's my attempt.
Yeah.
So how do you, because I was looking at that and I'm like, it looks just like my handwriting. So that's a very good question. Is it just learning each individual letter? Do you guys, Jennifer, you go and then we'll go back to Danielle.
I like to say that you kind of, it's a little bit of a mindset thing. You really need to shift your mind away from them being like the traditional letters that we learned, which is very hard. And I think this is why a lot of people try hand lettering and then think, oh, I'm not very good at it. Because our brains are designed to learn a function and then get very just go on autopilot with it, right? Like we learn to walk and then we go on autopilot. We don't think every day about each step we take, right? So we've been lettering for 40, 50, however many years you've been lettering for. So your hand is already very trained to write in cursive the way that we learned how to write in cursive, right? So when you start hand lettering, it's actually like a new art form, and you have to practice because you have to retrain your brain to make different movements with your hand that you are not used to doing. And that's why when you start out, like getting these tracers are very helpful because you can kind of practice tracing these movements. And I think it's just, to me, I try to look at the letters as shapes and not letters. And this is one of the reasons why I think it's really, really important to use a pencil to like draw your design on first. You can erase certain spots, kind of, you know, correct anything that you need to correct. And then when you get ready to use your marker, you know, you're just tracing over those shapes. But it just takes a little bit of practice, you know, and just trying to kind of look at what you're lettering and try to think of it as a shape and not like a letter E. Because this is not how we learned how to do letter E in cursive when we learned, right? We learned more of, well, where's my pen? We learned to, you know, to do like this, right? And so this is a different movement and you just have to practice it. And after a while, you kind of practice it enough, your brain, you'll retrain your brain just a little bit to kind of, you know, make those new movements. Also going very, very slow is very, very key because when you go very slow, you can kind of think about those movements as you letter. Because otherwise, when you go fast, your hand's just going to do what it's always done. So those are my tips, my thoughts on it.
That's funny when you're saying that. I was picturing like when you guys were to sign like a check or your credit card statements, you know, when you're at a restaurant and they're like swooshes and swirls and going back over the down movements. But it's too different in your guys' brain.
Yeah, my lettering is very chicken scratch, right? And not, it's just an art form and you have to look at it like an art form. It's not, you know, what you think your handwriting is. It's just, it's different.
It's almost like doodling instead of
drawing.
Think of it that way.
You're drawing the letters, not writing the letters, I guess is a good way to think about it.
Okay, Danielle, do you have anything to add to that too?
I think she covered it. I was going to say, I tell people handwriting and hand lettering are two different things. Your handwriting is you're drawing the letters. I mean, your handwriting is your regular everyday chicken scratch, but your hand lettering is you drawing each letter and being intentional about the shapes, like she said. So she covered it.
Perfect. That's funny. All right.
I could talk all day on that topic. Sounds like, say it fast, say it fast.
Right. I bet you both could. Okay. I write mostly in cursive. Does that help with the loops to connect the letters?
Okay. So let's see, if you write mostly in cursive, let me kind of I could show the difference. Let me do my hands real quick. Hold on.
And I bet, and I think it's, again, that mindset. I'm guessing that this goes back to you're going to be drawing those letters instead of writing those letters. So, but I bet there's a good way that Danielle will have to explain this.
Okay, and I only know because recently I'm going through cursive with my son because I had kind of forgotten how you teach cursive. But we go, you know, with regular cursive, you're taught to stay on the, I'm sorry, I changed. You're also not supposed to pick up your pen, but you're supposed to stay on that baseline like that. Now with modern calligraphy, I'm going to show this baseline, but I want you to see how the goal is to pick up your pen and then you're kind of like letting these letters drop below the baseline sometimes. And this is called bounce. So we're bouncy with our letters versus here you were told, you know, don't drop below that baseline, stay here. And then your E, like Jennifer said earlier, comes from the bottom. But here we almost want it to sit up. Like now I'm going to start here and make that connect. Does that make sense? where it's more upright. So to ask about the loops and drawing in writing in cursive, while it's helpful that you write in cursive, you kind of have to get out of the cursive mindset, because you're going to be going until it feels natural to stop. Like, one way I like to show this is the word grace. So I'm going to come here, give a big loop, but then here it feels natural to stop, because that A, when we learned how to do the A, we're going to start on the right-hand side. And I'm giving myself space right here. You want to give yourself space. And then the C is going to come from that right-hand side. And then E. So see how it's all kind of like sitting up. And then you want to give yourself these spaces so that you can have definite upstrokes and downstrokes, because they need to be noticeably different. Does that help? I don't know if that's kind of the answer she was looking for, but the difference in cursive and lettering.
Yeah, I think you just totally have to throw out everything about hand lettering. I tried Grace. It just looks like my hand lettering. So you really have to
I have something else, if I can just add real fast.
Yes, please.
Something that has helped me. Let me put my camera on. When I first started doing this hand lettering, I had a difficult time trying to figure out where to connect those letters.
Hold on, I think you're frozen.
Yeah, I know. I am, huh?
Okay.
It's just black on my end. Maybe y'all can carry on, and I'll explain it later.
Perhaps amongst yourselves for a moment.
That's unfortunate.
Here, let me remove you, and then we'll put you back in again. Maybe that will help. Okay.
Okay, so do you want me to answer that question?
Yes, sure. Can anyone learn to letter, or just some of us not meant to be? Be serious, Jerry says.
Okay, I'll be serious. If you practice enough, I believe anyone can do this. And I have watched people in in-person classes that, I never thought I could do this, but then when they got the instruction, were able to really pull it off. Now, one thing that would be a huge help for you, if you say, I just don't know if I'm the person, I don't know if I can do this, would be to use one of these templates. And so these templates are going to help you get used to where all those downstrokes are. And you don't have to think about, how do I lay out the lettering or anything like that. So you can take something like this and put it over here. And I've watched people who didn't think they could do it, after they use a template, be a whole lot more confident. And it's a very good beginner way to get used to that. And then once you see that it's possible for you to do it, then you just have to be able to do it free-handed. But those templates are such a good stepping stone. And I don't, Shelly, do you mind if I tell them about the workshop I have coming up next week?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I told you earlier about a lot of my stuff is scripture-based. So next week, I'm hosting a workshop that teaches exactly how to do this hand-lettered sign. And it comes with one of those templates. And then it's a 2-day live workshop where I'll be live with you inside a private Facebook group, able to answer your questions as we go. But I'll be walking you through how to use that template and how to get this. I know you can't see it very good in the camera, but there is a little bit of dimension to these letters with that charcoal pencil. So if it's something that you're interested in, my goal with this workshop is for you to come away with a sign that you could hold up and take a picture of and be proud of. So I really believe anyone can do it. It just takes guidance, step-by-step guidance and practice. So
that's cute. I think your style is just really adorable. They both are. And behind you, is that the one that was in Hobby Lobby? Or
yes,
I think you should tell that story. We're waiting for Jennifer to come back in.
Okay, let's see which way you can see it better. So this big green sign was picked up by Hobby Lobby. That's my lettering there. And they had it on the shelves of their store as a dream come true. They had done a couple other signs that were my hymn signs, but this one was the largest one, and it was just so fun to go in and hold it up and see it in there. And so, yeah, that one was there.
And then you have some in Kirkland's too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I have a big one over here I could show, but it's big.
Oh,
That was
show
a-
us.
Okay,
Yes,
let me
see it. So then if you guys are like strolling through Hobby Lobby or Kirkland's, and then you'll be able to say, hey, I know the lady who does slows. So,
Okay.
and then,
This was it. Ah, yeah.
so
it's
cute.
really big. It's probably 5 feet long this way. So, but yeah, you can see my signature. I say my signature. Why can't I? It's mirrored.
Yeah, it's weird. That's cute.
But yeah, it's so fun to see what the stores can do with it that I can't. So this is on a big canvas. Oh, a big canvas like that.
That's cute. I've seen it at ours here, so that was fun. All right. It looks like Jennifer went out and came back in, but she must still be struggling. While waiting for her to come back, those pens that we were looking at, Posca pens, do they work on acrylic paint on wood?
Let's see. Do they work? Oh, yes. That is what I use. Like, for instance, with this stained wood sign I showed at the beginning, I would use a Posca white paint pen on this. And I use it actually, if you join the class and do the bonus pack, I give you a black Posca pen. So like I said, they are my favorites. They're what I recommend. And that's what I use on all my wood signs, canvas signs, and everything.
Okay. And that link we just dropped, so you guys can access that. And then do you want to also tell them kind of the story of your hymn boards? Because it's not on the shelf behind you, right?
Yes, I can grab that too. I didn't expect to draw this, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Sorry to make you get up and down, but I think it's so fun. And when Jennifer comes back on, I'd love for her to show that stuff behind her as well. They're just all so cute.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I grew up in the church pew as a baby from that on, and I grew up on these old hymns that were sang at our church. And one day I saw a sign that just had the sheet music, and it was sealed to a stained piece of wood, and I fell in love. I thought, oh my goodness, I love that. I love the nod to the old hymns because they're not sang as often anymore. They're kind of left behind. Not everywhere, but contemporary Christian music has become more popular. And I just love the old hymns. They are so rich with truth, and just the lyrics can just hit you. They're just amazing. And so I looked at that and thought, how could I make that my own? Like, how could I bring in what I'm doing? Because at the time I was making just hand lettered chalkboards. And I thought, how could I make that my own? And I decided to just try to letter on top of it and seal it. Like I made my first wood plaque that was awful, but now my dad handcrafts every one of these. They're not made by me anymore. And I sealed it to wood and I posted it on Facebook and I said, love it or leave it. That was like a big thing back then. It was 10 years ago. And boutiques would do it. They would take their clothing that they wanted to ask their customers, love it or leave it. So I did that for the hymns and it just went crazy. People, do you have this song? Do you have that song? And I had just asked my church if they had any old hymnals that I could practice this idea with. And my pastor at the time said, oh, we have tons of 50s hymnals that we're going to throw away. And I said, no, you're not. I'm coming to get them. So that's how it all started. And then from there, I was able to start an Etsy shop because people wanted them shipped. And then eventually my own website.
That's awesome. It's, you hear that all the time, that how did you start your business? It was accidental. And that's kind of where it comes into play, where you didn't know you had this talent.
Yes, it's been really cool. And my old stuff looks awful. Like when I look at my lettering, I think Jennifer would probably say that about her stuff too. Like,
right. I think we all would. Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. Welcome back, Jennifer. I'm glad you got it to work.
Working. I don't know. It wasn't recognizing any cameras. I don't know.
It was just frozen. Like I couldn't even mute you.
I know, mine too. It was black and it wouldn't let me choose anything, which is very strange. So I'm on my iPad now. This looks like I'm in this big tunnel.
Wrapped in this tunnel. And we were just talking about all the stuff behind Danielle. So do you want to kind of showcase a couple things behind you as well? And then we have
sure.
I think 3 or 4 questions left.
These are some just designs that I've done. I did hand lettered this last week inside on my main Facebook page. So if you go to my Facebook page, Canvas Sign Designs, you will find the little tutorial on that. I hand lettered that with one of the templates from the Happy Lettering Club. And I hand lettered this with one of the templates from the club. And this was just something I got at like Dollar Tree or something and repainted it. And then these are just some door hangers that I have painted here. Cute. And we also have a laser machine. So I have a painting group with a subscription box, and I mail them a kit each month, and we paint it together. And you don't need to know how to hand letter for that. This was our January sign here, but I design all of my door hanger cutouts, so you know they won't get those anywhere. They can't go buy the files anywhere. And then this was another one that I designed and created an SVG file for, and then we cut it out on our laser, so you can see the words are raised. So in my painting group, we have words that you glue on. You don't have to know how to hand letter. But in my lettering group, I teach them how to do the hand lettering on the door hanger. So I try to hang all those up that are holiday related here.
Yes, very cute. Very seasonal. Okay, we do have a couple, or did you have something to finish? I'm sorry, I don't remember where we were when you froze. And you were like, oh, I have something to say. And then
I know, I had a really good thought, but I don't know if it's gonna show up. What I'll do is I will try to, because I think it's good, valuable information. When I first, I'm gonna do it on a big poster board. So we're gonna do throwback lettering style here. When I first started hand lettering on signs, one of the things that I struggled with was where to connect my letters. So when you're looking at the word, let's say blue, and you're going to go into an L, I had trouble kind of figuring out where to bring this line here to connect my L or the next letter, right? Connect the next letter. That's like a crazy B, but and so what always threw me off was do I bring it up here? Do I bring it down here? Where is that connection point? So as far as L's and E's are concerned, I started doing my L's like this. I would go here, and then I would take this. That way I could kind of connect it to that letter. And then, sorry, I'm not as good writing like this, okay? But you get the picture.
Holding it up, yeah.
This is a U. And then again, how far do I bring that up to connect the E? Was always a struggle for me. So I would do my E's like this, and then I would take this and connect it there. And that's kind of what I did for a really long time. So try to think of little ways like that you can kind of workarounds, little cheats that you can get, that you can do. But one of the main things, another thing that you can think about is there is this imaginary, and I really, let me write a word here so I can kind of get it right. There's an imaginary connection line that your in strokes and your exit strokes are going to connect to. So exit strokes would be leaving the letter, and entrance strokes would be going into the letter. So if you think about, let's pretend like I got it all even here. If you think about always have an imaginary line there, and you could use a laser level to shine on your paper if you want to kind of give yourself that imaginary line. Another kind of fun tip here. But if you just take bring your letter, always bring where your exit strokes to that imaginary line, then you can kind of always know where to stop and where to connect and go into the next letter. So when you're first learning, get yourself a little laser level and just kind of put it, on your paper where you're going to be lettering, and just try to end your letters where that line is, and then begin your letters where that line is. And after a while, once you kind of get the hang of lettering and kind of get used to the feel of the marker, then you can start breaking those rules, because I don't even use those rules now. But for me, starting out, learning that really helped me kind of get a grasp of like where to start and stop each of my letters. So I kind of go into detail about that in my beginner's workbook. But I don't know. I hope that helps and makes sense, because
No,
it helped me.
I think that's good. And it also gives that transition on how you go from hand lettering to, your own cursive handwriting.
Yes.
So you can separate the two and make them more of a, I don't know how you'd say that, like an art form. Okay,
Yes.
we have a couple more questions. So let's pop one up. Do you ever use lettering on an iPad, and is it the same process?
I use my iPad every single day. It's my favorite tool and the most used tool that I have. And I think Danielle will say the same. We both use our iPads to create our hand lettered designs for her digital dust, and then mine for my Happy Lettering Club. So that's what we use to create our templates that we use in our groups, or groups, subscriptions, whatever, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And the process it's just like everything else. Like using a paintbrush is one tool, and you have to kind of use that one tool and get used to that one tool. And then when you switch over to a marker, that kind of feels a little different. You got to kind of practice with that for a while. And then when you go to the Apple Pencil, you got to kind of practice with that so it's whatever you use most frequently, you're going to get good at. But it's very similar, just a little bit different. I don't know if Danielle has anything to add to that.
I would say if you get one or you have one, my favorite thing is, now I know the newer iPads may have a more paper-like feel, but I have a paper-like screen protector that was a game changer for me. I don't know if, Jennifer, do you use
I use that too. 100%.
Yeah, it just makes the screen more of a matte. It's a matte screen protector, and it makes it feel so much better than that glossy glass. So I highly recommend that.
I didn't know they had something. That's awesome.
And we both have Procreate courses where we kind of teach, stuff in Procreate. But yeah, I think it's great. It's great because you don't have to carry a lot of supplies around. You can just have your iPad. You can take it with you I take mine everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. Every night when I go to bed, I bring my iPad, just, hoping I'll get a little time to hand letter. It's really convenient. It's also really good if you have shakier hands and you struggle with like lettering with a pen or something. There's settings on your brushes in there that you can do that really help stabilize the shakiness. So I love it.
Awesome. Okay, and I think we have just a couple more questions before we wrap up. Do the templates have the up and down strokes on them?
So mine do not have like arrows, but they have, so no, not up and down, but it does show you, where the thickness is and gives you a better idea. This one, sorry, is the one I used on the video with you in the summit. So it's messy, but it just kind of helps you see where those thick and thin strokes are. So it doesn't say like up, down, but if you see a thick line, you're going down. If you see a thin line, you're going up, if that helps.
That's awesome. Okay, for your templates, do you use what kind of paper? Do you just print them out on copier paper? Is that what you recommend?
It is what I recommend, because when you're pressing down, kind of like Jennifer earlier was having to press a little harder, you don't want to use a cardstock because it's going to be way too thick. So you want to use regular printer paper, and then some graphite or carbon paper comes with this little tool that you can use and go around the edges. It doesn't leave a pencil mark, but I usually just use a regular pencil. So you don't have to have any kind of fancy tool, but just regular printer paper and a pencil.
Okay. All right. I think we have a couple more questions. You have encouraged me. I have watched many people do it, but have always been afraid to try. It has always been something I wanted to do. Awesome, Vicki. It was like our whole mission right there behind coming together for the summit, right?
Yes, I love showing people they can do it because it just takes practice. It is not a talent that you're naturally born with. It's not something, some people pick it up faster than others, but if you practice consistently, whatever that may be for you, you will get better. You will. And it just takes time. We've both been doing it for 10 years. Like I did not letter the way that I letter now when I started at all.
That's funny. I was just reading this question as you started to talk. So how much do you practice? Do you do it daily? I think it really just depends on.
I don't think it has to be daily. The more you practice, the faster you're going to get better. So I think as long as you do it consistently, whether that be once a week, every other day, once a month, you're just getting that practice in. But the more you practice, the faster you're going to improve,
Okay, I have something that I can share. So I had heard this before, and we're not going to debate on whether or not Jerry Seinfeld is funny or not, but he says that when he wanted to be a comedian, that he would tell a joke a day, or he would write a joke a day, because you have to do it so many times before you can become an expert or be the best or whatever. And so one time I got this calendar out and I said, I'm going to every single day, and this was all on the iPad because I wanted to learn the iPad. And I had an X mark for every day. And I was like, I'm going to do at least one design a day. And actually it was before I had stuff in Hobby Lobby, and I wanted to be able to submit, because that one sign, it took hundreds of submissions before I got that one sign. And so I remember hearing that and saying like, okay, I'm going to do this every day and mark on my calendar. So I'm like, Jennifer, you don't have to, but it's your own journey on how fast you want to do it. So that's it.
I think that's good. It really is practice. And then when you're comfortable with it, it'll just come so natural. You won't feel like you're practicing.
Yes.
Okay. I think we have another question. Are we done, Erin, or do we have a couple more questions to pop up? I think we might be out of questions. What kind of paper do you use? Okay, we talked about that, printing them on copier paper.
And I just want to note that for those that are just starting out, I like analogies, but I use the analogy of cooking. When you first start learning how to cook, you're like, got the Kraft macaroni and cheese directions, and you're like, okay, 1/4 cup of water, I'm going to pour the little, packet in there. You follow all the directions to a T, right? But then as you get more experience with it, you're like, oh, I know what salt tastes like. I'm going to add a little salt to that. I know what pepper is going to taste like. I know these flavors complement each other. You start getting more brave to kind of try other things. So if you just start practicing and just practice the letters and doing the letters, then that's going to become easier. Then you're going to kind of flow into connecting your letters, and then that's going to come easier. And then you'll start being able to free up your headspace because you're not thinking so hard about connecting all your letters or which lines do I make thin and thick, which, by the way, when I started out, I would go up is thin, down is thick. And I would say that throughout the whole word, okay? But once you get more comfortable with the basics, it's going to free up your mind to kind of start being creative with other things. So I didn't start hand lettering and I was perfect at putting a phrase together. That took a couple of years into it before I had the basics done. And then you start kind of exploring your own style of lettering when you feel more it's like training wheels, it's just it comes in stages. It does not all come at once.
Awesome. I totally agree. Okay, we have one more from Becky. Is there a Posca pen that is best for signs?
I'm going to write it down so everybody can take a picture. This one is what I would use. And I think that's what Danielle uses too. It's the PC5M, which is like the kind of a medium-sized bullet tip. And then there's one just below that, I think, that we both use from time to time too. That's what I would recommend.
Awesome. Okay, I was just reading the comments. And I saw somebody said they jumped into your membership. So I think we've kind of covered everything that we had on our agenda as we were just naturally talking. So again, you can scroll and find Danielle's chalkboard challenge. You could jump into Jennifer's membership or grab one of her pen sets.
I'll be doing a workshop at the end of the month. I don't have all that. It's not ready to throw out into the world yet, but
Right.
be on the
Just a
lookout
sneak
for it.
peek. You're just hearing about it first here, live. Cue the dramatic music, right?
Right.
Awesome. And then today we both know Desiree, and she is another hand letterer that we know, and she has her session out today with the Home Decor Crafter Summit.
She's amazing. I highly recommend watching her. I used to like swoon over her lettering back before I even taught hand lettering. Like, she's amazing.
She is very, very talented artist too. Because I think hers has like a floral thing that she's also doing. So a little bit of illustration, a little bit of hand lettering. And then we had talked about crystal earlier too. And then there's another one with coasters with Kelly. And all fun hand lettering styles, all totally different. So you'll definitely learn something from everybody. But if you don't have your ticket yet, you can still get that. The link is with the description. Even though we are done tomorrow at 10 o'clock was the last time you can watch the free videos, you can still get the VIP, which is on sale for $57. Normally the VIP is $97. So if you haven't grabbed that yet, there's also a ton of bonuses. And Danielle and Jennifer both have bonuses in there too. So it would definitely, if you're interested in learning more from them, that would be a fun way to jump in as well. And I think that's about it. So I appreciate you guys being here. Did you have anything you want to add before we jump off?
No, thank you for get on here. It's been fun.
Just try it. And you know what? The whole point to hand lettering is for it to be relaxing and enjoyable. You're not trying to put your stuff in art galleries right now. So you just got to do it. You just got to try and remember that it's supposed to be a relaxing hobby.
Yes. And when it's not, just take a break, walk away.
Right.
Don't give it up.
Exactly. Sometimes it's not a relaxing hobby, but
right. That's everything. Every craft.
Absolutely.
Somebody asked the VIP. The VIP does not expire. You have replaced everything, but the bonuses are only good till April 15th. So you still have plenty of time to download those. All right. Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate
Bye, Shelley. Thank you.
And then we are back in about 15 minutes. We'll be on here with a coffee chat with a few of our other speakers. So I hope you guys will join us for that too in about 15 minutes. All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.